touching on the top prop bets in the NBA today. All right, so got the late Sunday afternoon video here for you guys. Looking at today's board, I wouldn't say that we're getting any lock and loads. We are getting some decent fantasy props, NBA-wise, and that's really the biggest edge that we're probably going to get on this game. It's really just trying to figure out some the replacement players for the Memphis Grizzlies, what to do with them. There is a lot of significant injury news. I wish the board was a little bit better in terms of backup players. Like if we had Charles Bassey on the board, I would have loved that today. We don't. And then we do have two okay NHL bets, so I'll go ahead and start with that. So here's the first one. We're going to be looking at over 1.5 shots on goal. On average, across the sportsbook, this is at minus 150, so that's a good number that we're getting. So if you want to pair that potentially with, some of the strong NBA bets that we're getting, you can do that. And then the only other one worth mentioning would be here where the over is set at minus 140 for over 3.5 shots on goal. So now if we just go ahead and look at the NBA prop board, the best bets that we are getting, we can see Damian Lillard over, and this is pretty wild, 4.5 3-pointers. Okay, they're favoring this at minus 140. That seems a little bit high to me. We are getting a lot of those. Kelly Olynyk, I actually don't mind here. Over 1.5 threes. So if we see it, he does average about 1.4. But the key thing here for Utah is that they're going to be without Lauri Markkanen. Now the only issue is that we don't have that big of a sample size with Lauri Markkanen off the court and with Kelly Olynyk. He's going to attempt about 4 three-pointers, and he just needs to make 2 of those. So not the best. He does average 1.5 3-pointers made per 36 with Lauri Markkanen off the court. So really it's just a guess of the minutes. And so if we pull it up like last night or 2 nights ago, only 1 3-ball attempt. So I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about the 3-pointers that we are getting today. Now, yes, Damian Lillard against Orlando is going to be appealing for 3-pointers made, especially if he's going to be chucking this many times, right? And the thing with it is, it's like you look at against the Pelicans where he went 2 for 9, poor night shooting 3-ball, he stopped shooting them. You look at against Golden State, 2 for 7, poor night shooting the 3-ball, he stopped shooting them. So as long as he's not too cold shooting, then yes, he's going to get over 4.5. It's kind of as simple as that. Like if he is not cold shooting the basketball and against Orlando, which is going to be a favorable matchup, you would sort of favor the over. We can see all the metrics that we have coming in are basically saying that's going to be very close. So obviously I don't like that. I want the projections to be really suggesting that we have a big edge. Same thing with Cameron Johnson. But I mean, these are all pretty strong bets. I mean, these are all over minus 140 for Cameron Johnson and Damian Lillard. So, that's not a bad thing. And then looking at Cameron Johnson, I really don't mind this one as well. It's just looking at the, metrics that we have. We can see it is a little bit, peaks and valleys, a little bit of a roller coaster there. I want to see that kind of consistency across the board there. And I really just think the biggest thing for kind of Brooklyn tonight is going to be the fact that they get a good matchup. Okay. So he is shooting the 3-ball a decent amount, 9, 11, 5. We need at least like 7 pretty much for this one to hit. So not a terrible one. And against Charlotte is one that I really don't mind. He has been a productive fantasy producer. Followed out of last game, but still had 31 minutes, still had a productive day. And I actually don't mind him for fantasy points as well going against Charlotte. He had a terrible first half and then really dominated in the second half. And guys, that's a perfect example of why I'm not a big fan of chasing the first half props, because you are reducing the sample size. Okay, it doesn't really make sense. Like if he's going to get there, he's going to get there. Like they basically just take his first half numbers or his full fantasy numbers and divide them by 2, cut it in half and put that for a half prop. So you are just kind of reducing the sample size. But yeah, looking at like all the Brooklyn Nets players, it seems like they're all a little bit too cheap. Like I kind of expect Spencer Dinwiddie to go and have a really good night against Charlotte. Mikal Bridges as well. I think he has a good chance to have a good game against Charlotte. But it does kind of seem like the safest one on paper would be Cam Johnson. Okay, he's obviously gotten over it the last 4 games, has found ways to do it, and he still hasn't really gotten bumped up enough. And obviously it's a great matchup against Charlotte. And we're not getting a Nick Claxton one. I'm a little bit shocked at that. So if we continue on, we do see there are some decent ones that we can make. The best one would probably be Xavier Tillman over 8.5 rebounds. Okay. He is someone that if we go ahead and scroll down here, we can see that he is expected to get a lot more minutes today. And so if he does get those minutes, double the minutes, and the reason why that is because I think the expectation is that they are going to roll with a bigger lineup tonight. So thus he's going to get more minutes because Memphis is going to be without Steven Adams. They're going to be without Dylan Brooks, and they're going to be without John Morant. And so if we look at it, yeah, he has been getting more minutes recently. And so in games in which he does get around 32 minutes or over 30 minutes, he has been getting over those rebounds. So that is the biggest question mark. And I say that a lot, but it really just NBA DFS really does boil down to that, right? It comes down to minutes. And this is a situation in which the minutes are expected to be more. If he gets 30 minutes, he should be able to get the over. And especially kind of in this matchup against the Clippers as well, especially if Zubac is out, then you got Mason Plumlee. That's going to should benefit him a little bit as well. And then while we're talking about Memphis, I do just want to pull up like Desmond Bane just in general. And I know I'm jumping ahead to fantasy points here, but if we just look at his like per 36 numbers in general, just for Desmond Bane, let's just look at it. And this is a tiny sample size. Do not get me wrong here, guys. Very small sample size. But with Adams, Brooks, and Ja Morant off the court, it's not terrible. Okay, it's not. It's about 40 or 400 minutes, so really not bad. He averages 26.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, 6.2 assists. So we can see probably assist is going to be a good one for us if we're just going based off of that. And then he does average about 1.3 steals. So pretty good stuff there. The question would be, how many fantasy points does he average? Well, he averages around 44 fantasy points per 36 with those players off the court. So the next question would be, all right, what are his minutes looking like? And so here's kind of just the assist prop, just clicking on that so we can see his minutes. We can see 32 minutes. So really it just depends on, he should get a bump in minutes. He should get a bump in usage. His usage goes up about 4.5% with those players off the court. So yeah, he should probably be the most involved. So in theory, he should be a really strong bet for us today. But like I kind of view it as maybe points and assists, because it probably should be closer to 30 here. So that's a pretty good one that we are getting here. And this is a situation, maybe we could do a game stack. Okay. The issue with that is that we don't exactly know the Clippers. Like Westbrook's healthy, Paul George's healthy, Kawhi's healthy. The only one we could maybe get would be Plumlee. If Zubac was ruled out, then we could maybe get Plumlee. But it does seem like Bane, maybe fantasy score, maybe points and assists would be the way to go, as well as Tillman over rebounds. So that kind of covers the over bets that we have. Let's go ahead and check some under bets that we have. None of them are really kind of standing out. We can see the best under bet that we are getting on paper is going to be -124. So probably just something as a whole that we are staying away from. And sorry, I was actually looking at the wrong one. I was looking at where the betting odds are different. So the best one that we are getting just odds wise is going to be -134, or this one -134 plus 107. You can take those if you want. I'm probably just staying away from those. A lot of those seem like they are kind of correct. And so now if we go ahead and look at where the numbers aren't matching up, just kind of interesting here. So Jason Tatum over points, rebounds, and assists. Not a terrible one. Favored at 44 by the sportsbooks on average, and it is favored at -119. So not terrible. Is projected to get slightly over that as well. So we do have a slight edge there. I like to see that those are kind of just checking the boxes there. A decent one. Same thing with SGA. We're getting a slight edge there, but nothing too crazy. Then moving on, looking at the unders. Now this isn't terrible. Russell Westbrook, you could do under points, rebounds, and assists here. With Kawhi there, with Paul George there. Yeah, probably. The strange thing is that rebounds have been down a little bit with those two players on the court. And I guess it makes sense. They're both bigger players. They're both high usage players. So it does kind of make sense. So the average sportsbook line is favoring at about 27.8. Projected to get, or PrizePicks has him projected to get 28.5, and he is projected to get 25.3. So yeah, we can see where that number, we'd want to chase. Dort's usage is going to go down. So you could do points and rebounds under there. With SGA back, if he's playing a full allotment of minutes, he's definitely more involved, or he's definitely less involved. And you could also do potentially points, rebounds, and assists. And I'd probably go with that one. We're betting the under there. Sportsbooks have it set at 21. PrizePicks has the line set at 21.5. Not projected to do really anything, right? With SGA back. And that just makes sense. That's what we see. And so that's kind of it for like the best that we're getting prop wise. Let's go ahead and look at like some fantasy ones. And so I do want to point out something here with Bane on paper. And once again, this is kind of why I want to do the per 36 numbers, is that he is actually one of the worst ones. Same thing with Mikal Bridges. The thing is that, and it could be true still, I don't think the data has really caught up just yet, like looking at averages and whatnot with him on Brooklyn. A lot of the season averages that we're getting are when he was with the Suns, when he had, a lot less usage. So I don't really want to do anything too crazy with Bridges. I do think the over would be a good bet, but, probably feels like we're forcing it. I do want to point out Walker Kessler. And so this is one of the situations in which, I said this a couple times now, I do want to start adding in per 36 numbers. Looking at it, the under is favored for fantasy points here for Walker Kessler. But what we're not pulling into this, and what we're not factoring into this, is the simple fact that we need to pull in the per 36 numbers. With Steven Adams, with Dillon Brooks, and with Ja Morant off the court, Tillman averages about 35 fantasy points per 36. Or sorry, why did I say Tillman? Sorry guys. Utah here. With Beasley, with Conley, with Markkanen, and with Sexton off the court, Walker Kessler averages 53 points per 36. Now, it's a very small sample size. It's about 100 minutes going into that. But that's one of those situations in which, and that's kind of the tough part about adding in the per 36 numbers with those players off the court, is that like 100 is not a big sample size. It is more difficult. But if the minutes are there, if he gets even 30 minutes, he should be able to crush the over, okay? If we look at his average fantasy PrizePicks points times it by his projected minutes, this is what he averages. So all the metrics kind of say he should be over, except for the projection and except for the matchup. That's the worry there, but per 36 numbers suggest that he should, step up into a little bit bigger role. So, that's kind of the issue. And same thing with Bane there, okay? But looking at it, and I find this very interesting, Brook Lopez is kind of favored for the over, and it makes sense. Gets a good matchup. If it weren't the back end of a back-to-back, I'd be all for this. I just worry about that a little bit. I don't know what your guys' feelings are on back ends of the back-to-back. If you choose to attack them or not, I kind of get both sides. But at the end of the day, this is a pretty good number that we're getting on Brook Lopez for about the 4th straight night. Kelly Olynyk, you could just do Kelly Olynyk over fantasy points as well. Now, he's not someone that's like crazy, and honestly the line's probably right. Data kind of likes it though. Same thing with Markelle Fultz. Like, these are all okay ones that it just feels like we'd be forcing them. To me, I like Cameron Johnson over fantasy points. That one feels safe to me. And sorry, this was Kelly Oubre. We got Kelly Olynyk down here, still favored over, but we're probably just doing Cameron Johnson, and you could do Brook Lopez. Spencer Dinwiddie, I think, is going to be a good over as well. Now, guys, full disclosure, kind of like yesterday, take this with a grain of salt. I was traveling a lot today. I am very much someone that is very process orientated, like to stick to the same schedule and whatnot. Obviously, I'm coming out with this video a little bit later. I would say my process is a little bit thrown off, and honestly, just driving so much, being on the road a lot today. I was gone for the weekend, as most of you guys know. Brain's honestly a little bit tired just from driving. So if you like one of these and agree with the take, go for it. If you disagree, do not feel the need to make the prop, okay? Trust me, like, it's just, I'm fine with that, especially today. Like, if you disagree, I'm okay with it. Just want to make that very clear. But these are my favorite bets for today. But that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Give a like and subscribe. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.